Hello, everyone, and welcome to this meeting about safe outdoor spaces here with Regis University today on May 15th, 2021. We're glad that you can be with us today, and again, welcome to this space, and thank you for taking the time to be with us. So my name is Karensa Mabwa. I'm with the Athena Group, and I'm here to help with this process and to hold the space for you today and walk us through this meeting. And before we get started, I would like to just point out this is a community information session, again, on safe outdoor spaces, and one that's planned in the Regis community. So today we have Spanish interpretation available for anyone who needs it or wants it. Ruth, who is our interpreter today, would you please let folks know how that's going to work today?
Yes, of course. Hi, hello everybody. Muy buenas tardes a todos. My name is Ruth and I am here with the CLC. And thank you everybody for prioritizing health equity through language justice. We always want to make sure that we bring, a space of inclusiveness to all the languages out there. And we want to make sure that everybody's able to read, listen, and participate in the language of their hearts. So today, once we turn on the interpretation, you will see a globe icon at the bottom part of your screen. From there, you will be able to select English or Spanish. You can also say mute original audio so you don't hear the person in the background speaking. If you have any questions, you can let me know. I will be available in the chat box. Also, if you are joining us from a cell phone or a tablet, you will find the same option in the three dots. It'll say languages, and you can also select your language from there. And if you are speaking today, I'd just like to remind you to please speak at a conversational pace to make sure that I have enough time to interpret everything. And I will repeat this message in Spanish. Entonces, muy buenas tardes a todos. Soy Ruth, estoy aquí con el CLC y gracias por tenernos, gracias a los organizadores de este evento por priorizar la equidad de salud a través de justicia lingüística. Siempre queremos asegurarnos de que todos puedan hablar, leer y escuchar en el idioma de sus corazones o el idioma que hablan en casa con sus familias. Entonces, el día de hoy, cuando encendamos la interpretación, ustedes van a ver el icono del globo terráqueo en la parte baja de su pantalla. Ahí pueden elegir su idioma, pueden apagar el audio original. También si están acompañándonos de una tableta o un celular, pueden ver los tres puntitos que va a estar a mano derecha y ahí va a decir lenguajes. También puede elegirlo. Si tienen alguna pregunta, algún problema, me dejan saber por la cajita del chat. Y si va a estar participando, por favor, hable a un ritmo cómodo. And that is all I have. We can turn on interpretation now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Appreciate your support today. It's important that everybody can be a part of this. So let's pause for a moment and be in a space of gratitude and honoring. I'd like to acknowledge the Indigenous people and acknowledge the history of the land where we are gathering today. And at this moment, we honor and acknowledge that the land on which we reside is the traditional and current territory of the Cheyenne and Arapaho peoples. And we also recognize that the 48 contemporary tribal nations that are present on this land and are historically tied to this land that make up the state of Colorado are those we acknowledge as well. And we take this moment to honor our elders, past, present, and future, and those who have stewarded this land throughout generations. We also recognize that the government, academic, and cultural institutions that were founded upon this land do continue to enact exclusions and erasures of Indigenous peoples. And may this acknowledgement demonstrate a commitment to working to dismantle ongoing legacies of oppression and inequities and recognize the current and future contributions of Indigenous communities in Denver. So I ask you hold that with our work today as our recognition of the space that we're in with much gratitude. So today, this meeting is designed to give you all the information that you need to understand the new safe outdoor space that will be located on Regis property temporarily and how everyone can be good neighbors. And we also expect to have some time for some verbal Q&A. So I just want to make sure we will have a little bit of time. But the bulk of this meeting is informational as well. So after I finish this kind of logistical piece here, and so you know what's happening, we will move on to some guidelines so that we know how we can interact in this space to keep our time together productive. There's both the balance of what we're going to accomplish and giving you information, and there's also the how we're going to do that. And we want to make sure that we're all being respectful and creating this community space together. So I'll go over those in a moment. Then after that, we will hear from Jen Farley, who is a staff at Regis University, and she will talk about the university's decision to host an SOS, the Safe Outdoor Space. Then we'll hear from Colorado Village Collaborative staff and guests who will talk about the SOS idea generally, what they are and why they're important. And then from there, we'll hear from the staff at St. Francis, and they'll talk about their plans for the Regis SOS site with some detail on that. Then we'll have some time for your comments and questions, and we'll bring them in whenever possible on any of the topics. And then we'll wrap up and work to get you out of here so you can carry on with the rest of your weekend. So that's how our plans are going to flow today. Let me get to the place of guidelines. As I mentioned, it's important to think about how we are being together as well as what we're accomplishing, and it helps us to be most productive and more balanced time with each other. So I'm going to introduce some guidelines, and you'll see them up on the screen. These guidelines are helping us to work together to make sure we can have some healthy, respectful interactions with each other and stay with those guidelines throughout the meeting as we express what we need to share. So as I mentioned before, this meeting is set up as an informational setting with some opportunity for verbal Q&A. So we will be offering that Q&A aspect, and you'll see it on your platform. You can refer to the icon on the bottom of your screen. For best results, we really invite you first to listen for understanding. We're sharing lots of information today. Some of it you may know, some may be different than you understand, and some may be something you don't agree with. And I invite you to stay curious and open to possibility first and wait to make up your mind so you get all the information that you need. And there's this wonderful opportunity that comes from being curious, that oftentimes more ideas and opinions can emerge and perspectives can emerge, and it leads to great collaboration. And that's an important piece for this SOS. The chat is available for you throughout the meeting to ask for help with any technical difficulties with using Zoom. So feel free to use that chat for that purpose. All other questions and comments, please post them in the Q&A. I want to say a big thank you to our Colorado Village Collaborative and St. Francis staff and volunteers who will be helping to respond to questions in the Q&A, and they'll be doing their best to stay with those questions as they come. We may not always have time to get to everybody's question, but we will do our best. If you're a phone caller, you can raise your hand, use the raise your hand feature to give input or ask a question. And again, no, we may not get to everyone. We're going to do our best to stay with you on this and answer your questions. You are able to go to the Colorado Village Collaborative website to get questions answered if we couldn't get to you during this time. Next, I want to share to, again, be a community. Please, let's not be anonymous. Please put your name into your question if you don't already have your name preset in your Q&A through Zoom. That way we know that you're a person who is part of this community. We can identify you and call you by name. We'd ask for you to be respectful in your writing, and if you're invited to speak, and avoid name calling or shaming or comments about individuals or about the project. We'd really like you to understand that we will remove you from the meeting if that comes up. We want to keep our comments about the topic, about the issue, and about the question, and keep it productive and respectful. And it's okay if there's differences and disagreement in this place. This is why we're doing this space. Share space for all perspectives to be heard, and keep your remarks as brief as possible in writing. If you're invited to speak, we want to make sure that everybody else has a chance on the mic, on the virtual Q&A mic. In addition to that, if you could speak from your own experience using your I statement, I feel, I understand, it's been my experience, that that would be helpful too. Sometimes it can be interpreted that we're speaking for a whole group or we're showing up as a representative for a whole group when that isn't the case. And so we would love to hear what you have to say about what you're hearing here today, and be clear with your experience and perspective with that. And lastly, this meeting is being recorded. So just want you to know that that's how you're interacting in this meeting. And it's also super helpful for us, for people who can't come to this meeting. We'll be able to post it on the Colorado Village Collaborative site, and people can see it later. Are there any questions about how to participate with us in this session today? If you have some, please put them in the chat and we will address those as quickly as we can. And I'd like to ask Ruth to post the information about joining through interpretation one more time. Again, we are offering interpretive services You can join the channel for the language you'd like to use. And if you need any help with that, also please put your information in the chat there. Megan, is there anything else that we need to address at this particular moment? Megan is my co-facilitator for the night, who is kind of working behind the scenes for the day.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Corinza. No, we don't have any technical issues to address at this moment, so we can get on with the agenda.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'd like to invite Jenna Farley to turn on your camera, and let's hear from you about the Regis decision to host this SOS.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. My name is Jenna Farley. I am the Director of Community Relations at Regis University. I have lived I've lived in North Denver for 5 generations. So there's a lot of North Side pride that I bring to this conversation. And I also happen currently to live about 4 or 5 blocks from the university. So the university is in my blood, this neighborhood is in my blood, and I am just really thrilled that Regis University has the opportunity to host an SOS. Cole, can we show the video? I'd like to start. I think Father Fitzgibbons, who is the president of Regis University, has done a wonderful job of narrating a video that I think gives us the perfect place to start and make sure that we all have a shared understanding of what we're talking about and what our site will look like. So Cole, let's roll it.
Hello, I'm Father John Fitzgibbons, President of Regis University and host of this video tour of the Safe Outdoor Space facility, which provides an individualized sheltering option for people needing emergency housing. As you may know, Regis University will provide space in Lot 6 over the next 6 months for the Colorado Village Collaborative to establish a safe outdoor space. This village will house and serve up to 60 individuals and families. The collaborative asks nothing more of Regis than space to operate, and we are blessed to be able to fulfill this need at a dire time for those who are temporarily unsheltered in our community. This tour will give you a behind-the-scenes look at an existing safe outdoor space, or SOS, that is operating in Denver's Capitol Hill neighborhood and that I was able to tour earlier this year. I can tell you that from the outside looking in, the SOS village is barely noticeable. The fencing is covered and provides respectful privacy. There is one entrance, and it is secured at all times. No one can walk in from the street uninvited. The residents of the SOS are pre-screened and agree in full to the facility's rules. This includes no illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons while on site or in the neighborhood. The SOS is staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, by skilled professionals hired by the collaborative. These staff members help to ensure safe and smooth operations of the facility and on behalf of the residents. Inside, there are all-weather tents that are electrified, have a bed and furnishings, and even Wi-Fi. You will notice some tents are gray. These tents are designed for people who have accessibility needs. The SOS has portable toilets. The SOS also has several service tents that provide space for residents to take a meal, get supplies, and wash up. Services also include health checkups and other counseling to help them find employment and transition into permanent housing. The SOS brings in laundry services and showers. In the summer months, there will be shaded tents for the residents to stay cool. This SOS and another have successfully operated in Denver's Capitol Hill neighborhood since December 2020. This site will wind down operations in May and be replaced by an SOS here at Regis and another in the Park Hill neighborhood. I hope this visual tour helps answer many of the questions you may have about the SOS. You can find more information and watch additional videos at coloradovillagecollaborative.org. May God bless you.
Thank you for that. Thanks for sharing that, Cole. I think that Father Fitzgibbons gives a wonderful overview of what the look and feel will be of the community that we're welcoming. But what he neglects to talk about is really why we made the decision. And I think that's an important conversation that we have. Obviously, Regis University is a Catholic Jesuit university, and at its roots is social justice and caring for our community's most vulnerable, our community's poor, and those who are in need. And this is really, by hosting an SOS, this is Regis University living its mission and living its faith. And I think that that is probably the best, most concise way to really describe the decision to welcome an SOS to our neighborhood and onto our campus. Happy to answer any more questions that folks might have about that.
Thank you so much, Jenna. I really appreciate the way that you described that this is welcoming this SOS onto the campus. It's an exciting way to think about it. So next, I'd like to bring in our SOS representatives to talk more about this from the Colorado Village Collaborative. So Cole and then Kwik.
All right. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Cole Chandler. I'm the Executive Director of Colorado Village Collaborative. And as Father Fitzgibbons shared in the video, we have been operating a safe outdoor space in the Capitol Hill neighborhood since December 2020. I'm going to pull up a slideshow, so give me just a moment to get that all queued up here. All right. So what my hope is to do in this section of our meeting today is just to provide the base level of information about what a safe outdoor space is. So really the video is a great entry point into that conversation. It gives you the sense, the look and feel of what a safe outdoor space is. Father Fitzgibbons described the services that are available on the site. And one of the other great ways to learn about a safe outdoor space is to come down and take a tour of our site. And we're grateful that some folks from Regis University campus and broader community have reached out and have done that to this point. But if anyone else is interested in that, we would encourage you to reach out to us to set up some time for a tour. So let me tell you a bit about what a safe outdoor space is, how it functions, and why it's so desperately needed right now. So really, one of the first things that I want to emphasize in terms of safe outdoor spaces is that they're temporary. This proposal at Regis University is to operate the site from June 1st through December 31st. Now, there are renewal options depending upon how the program's going, but this is a temporary project that we're bringing forward in response to the impacts of COVID-19. So the particular situation that gave rise to this kind of model here in Denver was a growth in the unsheltered homeless population in a time when people didn't have places to go to wash their hands, to stay safe. And we really wanted to bring a model forward that would respond to the impacts of COVID-19. Now, as we move into a new phase in our COVID response, as we move into an economic recovery period, we know that this model is still desperately needed on a temporary basis in the city of Denver. And so another thing that Father Fitzgibbons mentioned is that this is an outdoor individualized sheltering model. And so I really discourage people from thinking about or calling this a homeless camp. That's not what this is. And so when we invite people to imagine what this is, we invite people to imagine just how it's been safer for restaurants during COVID to extend their services outdoors into individualized sheltering spaces. That has been a very safe way for us to serve people during the COVID-19 pandemic. And so this model provides people with autonomy, with safety, with dignity, with their own individualized shelter in a safe outdoor setting. And then one of the other things that we always emphasize is that there's 24-hour staff on this site, and that's paid staff. It's not volunteer staff. There are some opportunities for people to volunteer, but every single day, 24 hours a day, we have staff on site that's managing this space and keeping it safe. The leading value of this space is safety. That's the first word in the name, safe outdoor space. And so that staff is really aiming to deliver on that. Additionally, this is a resource and service rich environment. And so you can see here a list of the resources that are available to people, a list of the services that are available to people. And we'll have Kwik and Mark share a little bit more about that later on. but this is also a resource and service rich space. So just let's talk about the purpose of this. And so, I shared kind of what gave rise to this, but really the first purpose of Safe Outdoor Spaces was to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 amongst our unhoused neighbors. And we're pleased at the Colorado Village Collaborative to have been able to deliver upon that goal. We've done monthly satellite testing in partnership with the Department of Public Health and Environment. We've done daily symptom screenings at our site. And so far, we've had a 0% positive testing rate, and we've been able to deliver 32 vaccinations to our residents in the site. Another goal was to extend access to resources and services, including ongoing housing resources, to our neighbors on the street. And Kwik will tell you more about the success there later on, but we've had 7 people from our site move into longer term housing options. We have 5 people currently on vouchers awaiting housing placement. And then third was to reduce unsanctioned camping, reduce unsheltered homelessness around our city. And we're pleased to have been awarded a Neighborhood Star Award from Denver's Inter-Neighborhood Cooperation because of our good work in neighborhoods, being good members of the community. And so those are really the chief purposes of this model. As Father Fitzgibbons mentioned, the first 2 sites were launched in the Capitol Hill neighborhood in December. And so you can see there was a site at First Baptist Church of Denver that's been operated by Earthlinks, and there's a site at Denver Community Church, which is operated by the Colorado Village Collaborative. The next 2 sites are being launched at Park Hill United Methodist Church, which is at 2045 North Glencoe Street, and at Regis University. And so together, these 2 sites launching in June represent an expansion of this model. We're expanding from a total of 52 shelters at this point to 89 by this time next month. We'll be able to serve about 100 people a night across these 2 sites. And so we're really thrilled about that expansion. This is not a model that we just created here in Denver. This is a model that has been launched all across the country, particularly in response to COVID-19. And so these are just a sampling of a few of the cities and areas that have brought these kinds of sites forward. But what this sampling shows is that in more rural areas, as well as in large city environments, in more progressive areas, as well as in more conservative environments, this has been across the board a pragmatic and safe way to serve people experiencing homelessness during the COVID-19 pandemic. And one other question that people often ask is sort of what is the policy environment that has allowed Safe Outdoor Spaces to be permitted, and who approves these projects? And so these projects are approved by Denver's Community Planning and Development Department. We have submitted a permit for this site to operate this site, and that permit is still in the review process, but it's being reviewed by the zoning department, by community planning and development. Denver City Council doesn't vote on whether or not these projects get approved. It's really an administrative approval process through the zoning code. And so if anyone has questions about that, feel free to reach out to me and I can provide more information on that temporary unlisted use determination. You got a sense a bit ago about what a safe outdoor space looks and feels like, but just a few more things I'd love to highlight here. We have a perimeter fence surrounding every one of our sites and a secure point of entry. In addition to the individual tents, we have some larger service and management tents that you can see on the site. Inside, you can see that the tents are uniform. They all look and feel the same. And the space is kept clean. Residents keep their belongings within their individual spaces. Here's a shot from the site at First Baptist Church of Denver. So again, you can see that perimeter fence. You can see the uniformity of the site. And here is a view of inside of one of the shelters. And so you can see we provide every single shelter with a cot and a sleeping bag and some personal storage. Every shelter also has an electric outlet serving it. And so that gives people a place to plug in a phone, a place to plug in an electric heating blanket, or over the summer to plug in a fan. And so that's a bit of what those amenities look like. And as you saw in the video, there's portable toilets and hand washing stations and showers available to residents. So one of the other questions that we often hear is, how do people get to the site? And particularly, how will people get to the site at Regis University? And so when we are filling out these spaces, it's not just a walk up and receive services kind of space. And so we only provide services to those people that are residents of the site. And so the way we identify residents is through encampment outreach and potential resident screening, and then referrals from our partners at the Denver Street Outreach Collaborative. We provide relocation assistance, and then once someone arrives at the site, we do intake through the Homeless Management Information System and a use agreement. Every resident agrees to uphold certain responsibilities in order to live at the site, and I'll share a little bit more about those responsibilities later. But within the site, everyone has access to a full suite of services. And so we design these spaces to be really all-inclusive spaces. I shared earlier, was developed in a time when we were under safer at home orders, and we wanted to provide people a chance to be somewhere and stay there and have everything that they needed. And so those services include meals, it includes the wellness screening, it includes mental and physical health care services, dental health care services, outreach services, employment navigation, benefit navigation, and housing navigation. And Kwik and Mark will share more about that a little bit later on. In terms of the guidelines that people are expected to uphold, there's a number of guidelines, but essentially what we're asking people to do is to be good neighbors, to help us create a safe environment. And so each resident signs onto a use agreement that says, I will do just that. I will be a good neighbor in this space, and I will help promote safety for myself and for my fellow residents and for our broader community. And so that's what the resident guidelines and expectations are seeking to do. Our staff is responsible for keeping that up. And so we provide 24-hour staffing on the site. Staff is responsible for the site upkeep, for enforcing that the guidelines are followed, and for following through on accountability when needed. The staff is trained in trauma-informed care and conflict de-escalation and mediation, and really trained within our internal processes, trained to lead a restorative accountability process that aims to promote safety and keep people safely housed during this time period. And so with that, I'd love to turn it over to Kwik and to Mark to share a little bit more about what this actually looks like in real life in a safe outdoor space. So thanks, Kwik and Mark. You're on mute.
Hi, my name is Kwik. I'm the Outreach and Wellness Program Manager with Colorado Village Collaborative. I get to talk a little bit about the successes of the sites. As Cole mentioned, we have about 7 people that have already moved on to longer term sheltering options, which is 5 to our tiny home village. We've also watched 2 people move into permanent supportive housing, and we have 5 people connected to housing vouchers, which are just on the process of waiting for a unit to become available. We've also had a plethora of services that come on site. We have about 12 different organizations that do targeted outreach to inside the safe outdoor space. It includes physical health, mental health, dental services, library technology services. We have folks being able to update their resumes and apply for jobs online. We've also have, great organizations doing housing navigation and case management and really helping folks make those next steps in their journey, like getting an ID, making sure they have all of their identifying documents, figuring out what that next connection is. We were able to make a great partnership connection with an organization called Consolidated Services Group, CSG, who operates several contracts in bid locations, business improvement districts, like the 16th Street Mall maintenance contract. And we were able to get 2 of our folks hired on there that are working towards connected on their housing vouchers, and now they're employed. And they were just recently told that as soon as their housing comes through, they'll get permanent full-time work. So it's really exciting to watch the connections that are being made, the progress that starts small, but then ends up being really big and wonderful and exciting. And I think the last thing I want to touch on is that, again, we've had 4 COVID testing events. All of the testing staff and residents wide There's a 0% prevalence rate. Well, we've had 32 vaccinations, and we'll continue offering clinics to make sure we can have everyone that wants a vaccine vaccinated. I also want to introduce Mark Montez, who is really excited to tell you a little bit more about his story and his journey through the safe outdoor space.
Hi, my name is Mark Montez. Let me just do it the simple way. Is I moved in January. The site was already opened up in December, 1 month before I found out, because I had two people, they're outreach workers, one from the coalition, her name is Zina, and then I have the other one that's from St. Francis, her name is Kelda. I had them always knowing where I would stay, where I would sleep. They asked me, look, Shorty, because I go by Shorty. They asked me, man, look, this ain't getting no easier for you. It's getting harder. Let's try this program. And then I sat down with them and I was like, you know what, let's give it a shot. And when they called them and told them they had a spot for me over here, I just had to get rid of a lot of junk that I can't carry no more and bring only the necessities that I need to live here. So I came, I showed up, and I've been here, you know, okay. And then when I got here, at first I didn't know what was it all about, because I was hearing things on the street. No, it's this and that. But when I got here, I got to actually know there was one friend that I worked with in my past, and he was here. So I had at least somebody. And then I got to meet everybody else, the staff, everybody. And then they've been real pleasant to me. And then, like I say, I started working on with things that were coming in, and even though I have my 2 outreach persons, I still could talk to, and they were like, go for it. Do what you need to do, move yourself forward. So I've been doing that. With Co and Kwik, I want to tell them thank you a lot for giving me my job. And then when I lost my mom in April, they also gave me support. I had just started my job at CSG. They gave me support. They gave me the time off to work and go through it all. Now I'm back at, I'm at work doing what I got to do. And then I'm doing everything like I'm supposed to be doing. And everything I needed is just here, the dental. I have 4 teeth already pulled. I'm going to have another one probably on Tuesday, because I got this, we already talked to the dentist on the phone. And like I say, since I've been here, I love it. I don't have to worry about anybody stealing my stuff, worrying about people going through my stuff. I can just leave and go to work and then come home, and I know everything's right there. We all make like a family, because as we all live together, we start talking and listening how everybody came from somewhere and how they ended up here. Their stories are different than mine. But at least I have a lot of beautiful friends now, and I hope them the best like I'm doing. And I keep telling them, look, if I can do it, you guys can do it. And with this place moving me on, like I call her Mother Hen, and and I call him just like a father one that would hurry up. You got to fly out the nest at your own time now. You can't just stay here. But see, they're giving me the steps and all the tools I need. Now on Friday, next Friday, I have 3 appointments to go to. It's with my MAC doctor. Her name is Brittany Jones. The first one is because I got accepted in Inglewood for housing. Now I got accepted for the other one on 14th and Spear, which has the shorter 3 months waiting list instead of all the 8 to a year list. Now I got South Street that I just found out, so that's another one I got to hook up on that day. My day is going to be real busy. But like I say, I want to go back and say one thing is what I learned and how to use these tools are making me better. And all I needed was that helping hand. But see, like the Regis area, I used to live on 54th and North Federal over there by the big cowboy. That's right before you get to 76. I lived in those trailer courts. I graduated from North High School. I am a Viking. So when I grew up, I was on 32nd and Federal. That corner store used to be a 7-Eleven. And then it went through the changes of the Blockbuster, the cell phone places, all that. Now at Regis, before Regis expanded, there was a Kmart on 50th and Federal. That Kmart was one of the oldest Kmarts. I used to go with my grandma there, and when we leave out of the store, she'd be like, "Hey, want to grab some sandwiches?" And they would do those little sandwiches and lunch meat on these buns. You get 5 of them in a bag, and we just did what we had to do, and then now I'm on my way, and I'm proud of it, and I love it, and I respect it, man. It's just so loving, man. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Carenza, we'll go ahead and pass that off to you.
Thank you, Kwika, and thank you so much, Mark, for sharing your story. It's so heartwarming to hear what you've been through and what you're receiving from this experience at the SOS. So I thank you so much. Unless we have any questions, I'd like to move to the next phase. Megan, do we have anybody who's asking any questions at this point?
No, we don't. Of course, you're catching me with tears in my eyes from to Shorty. It's really beautiful. Thank you so much, Shorty, for coming and being with us and sharing. But yes, no questions at this time. Thank you, Carenza.
Thank you, Megan. So yes, after Shorty's moving, sharing there, it is hard to shift from there. I just want to kind of stay and hold that. It's really powerful. So let's move on to hearing a little bit more about the Regis plans. And I'd like to introduce Tom from the St. Francis Center Site Leadership Team.
Hi, thank you very much. And thanks, Shorty, for really humanizing what we're talking about here. It's just not a project or a safe outdoor space, but it's people being cared for and given a chance to really move on with their lives and with some positive support from our community members. And St. Francis Center is really pleased to be part of this project with the Colorado Village Collaborative and Regis University. We can't thank both of these groups enough for stepping out and stepping into a place where we know people will be served and really served in a dignified fashion. St. Francis Center has served members of this community for 38 years in downtown Denver at our day center. And we think the work that we do is about giving people a chance, companioning people on their way out of homelessness. And so some of the things that we offer to support people in their efforts to move from the streets into their own dignified way of living. We offer housing. St. Francis Center provides 120 housing units, apartments for people. We are in the midst of building 48 more individual home units for people that will open in October of this year. Housing is a way for people to really make the step forward in their lives to a more dignified way of living that most of us experience. In addition to housing, we know that if people want to be self-sufficient, that employment is the way that they can do that. And so we have an employment office that assists over 1,000 people each year, helping over 400 people get full-time employment. And again, when people are able just to get a little support, they're able to move into a situation that is best for them, one that they choose, which is really important. We also do street outreach. For 15 years, we have a team of people that Ian and Jim are a part of that have served the folks who are on the streets, assisting them to get to a better place in their life, especially into housing. So over the past 15 years, we've helped thousands of people get into housing. And that's kind of a turning point for people. As Shorty was so good to offer us, with a little support, people can do a little better or a lot better in their lives. Our day center, which is located at 2323 Curtis, offers services to about 500 people each day. And what we offer there are services that, again, can support people in moving out of homelessness. So getting a shower, getting clothing, having a place to store people's possessions ongoing as long as they need to store them there, again, as a way of assisting people. We also have a clothing room. People want to, have good clothes that they can show up to their employment interview with. And so that assists people in that way. Sometimes people need a little support because their mental health maybe is unstable at the time. And I would imagine that anybody who has to live in the situation of homelessness is going to have some instability in their life. We noticed that certainly during the pandemic. Many of us were experiencing insecurity in our lives. And if we felt that at all, we can understand what people who experience homelessness are dealing with each day. And so services like that are really helpful to people. We also have a Department of Housing where we have often help people, again, get off the streets by finding housing for them. During the past 14 months during the pandemic, we have assisted hundreds, if not thousands of people in keeping the place that they call home through our prevention program. So we have been able to help people stay in their housing by helping them pay their rent. That's been a benefit. And again, it's been homelessness prevention, so people would not end up on the streets. Just give you an idea of what happens in our community. St. Francis Center serves about 10,000 different people each year. And of those 10,000 people that we help in one way or another, 8,000 of those people are out of our services within 30 days or less. And basically the story that tells is that many people experience homelessness for a brief amount of time. And with those around who can give them the supports they need, their encounter with homelessness is brief. Without those supports, it might continue to last longer. One of the things we've experienced for the past 38 years is the inequities and the inequality of our systems in the United States, in the state of Colorado, in Denver, that we have served people of color in a way that shows that they are overrepresented in our culture. Because we have not treated people with respect or with equality, many more people of color fall into the experience of homelessness than the rest of our population. And so what some of these programs that we're talking about at St. Francis Center, but also the experience of the safe outdoor space, what we're trying to do in some ways is help balance that inequity in our society by helping people who are experiencing homelessness, oftentimes not because of anything they did that was wrong, but because of the inequalities in our society. We think that the safe outdoor space will ultimately assist people in making it off the streets. You've probably seen many camps if you've driven through Denver or even other places in the metro area. There are many camps that are not safe, that don't have facilities for bathroom facilities, that are often moved from time to time. And what has been said before, the safe outdoor spaces will really give people the opportunity to have a place where they know it's going to be safe, where they know they'll have bathrooms, where they know they'll have places to eat. And then they can think about what their next move is, how they're going to move off the streets. And they will have services provided for them consistently at these places. That's one of the great things about the safe outdoor space, is that social workers and outreach workers will be able to connect with people day to day or week to week and help them think about what do I do now? Now I feel some sense of stability in this space, and I will be able to think about what's my next move to get off the streets. And so people are successful when we offer them the tools to be successful. And we feel that the safe outdoor space that St. Francis Center, the Village Collaborative, and Regis will create an environment where people feel their dignity is upheld, where people will know that day to day they can go back to this space, where people will know that there's safety here and stability so that their lives can change, so that they can really determine for themselves what a good life will look like in the future. So we're very pleased that this is happening, and we feel that it will be a really good experience for all of us, but most importantly, for the people who need this space now in their lives. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. So next, let's hear from Ian.
Hi, I'm Ian. I work for Tom and Jim as the new Safe Outdoor Space Manager at Regis. I have over 4.5 years of experience working in the homeless population. And it's my pleasure that I was tasked with opening and running this site. To give you a few ideas of our potential site at Regis, the location is roughly in the parking lot of Regis Commons. The best way to look at it is 51st and Federal area, although 51st isn't really a street. So we are right behind the McDonald's. We'll have, like Cole mentioned, a fence that surrounds our safe outdoor space, and we'll have 56 tents that will serve up to 60 people in that site. We'll have 5 pet-specific tents and 4 tents that are specific to couples, and 3 ADA accessible units. This shelter system will also have multiple tents where people can meet with their case managers or outreach workers. There will be a laundry truck on site, a shower truck on site, and laundry facilities will be used at an adjacent laundromat. If you're interested in engaging with our project and participating, we have an opportunity for you to volunteer through Sign Up Genius that we can provide in the chat or in the link for the link. And then you can also look to provide meals for our site through Meal Train. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ian. So I would like to pass it back to Cole for any final remarks before we close out our time.
All right, thank you so much, Corinza. You know, we hosted this time together today to provide information about this project that will be moving forward at Regis University. If you've driven by the campus recently, you might have noticed some activity that's going on there. And so we have a storage pod that's already moved onto the site plan that Ian just pointed out. We've actually already gone ahead and installed the perimeter fence. And over the course of this weekend, actually, there's some electrical work that's beginning at the campus. And so this project is actively making its way towards its June 1st launch, and we're very excited about it. There's going to be another community information meeting that's hosted on Thursday night, and we would invite as many people as possible to come out and join that. We will be sending out the recording of this email and this meeting and a follow-up email, and encourage people to share that as well. We're so grateful to each of you for participating in this however you were able. And we look forward to moving forward and finding ways to be good neighbors to those gathered around and living near the Regis University campus. So thank you.
Thank you, Cole. So again, I want to thank folks for listening in and giving us the opportunity to share information. If you would like to hear more about what the SOS space is up to, how it's coming, the status, talk to any staff at Colorado Village Collaborative, or perhaps you want to sign up for direct email notices or get more information about volunteering, please go to www.coloradovillagecollaborative.org/safe-outdoor-space. And we will also be posting the links to sign up at Sign Up Genius for volunteering, and that's also in the chat, as well as Meal Train to help with meals, and to donate, you can go to Colorado Village Collaborative.org to their donation site. So many thanks to our interpreter, Anna, and for all of our panelists for sharing such great information, and for our volunteers for helping this evening. We appreciate your time, and we wish you all a great weekend. Thank you so much.